Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, I'm going to show you a very cool mate in 2 problem where it's white to move and checkmate in exactly 2 moves. So look at this queen right now. It is under attack by this bishop, this rook, and this queen in the corner. Yet, that's not even a big deal. White to move and mate in 2. See if you can find the answer. I'll give you a second to think about it. While you're considering the solution, let me ask you to subscribe if you haven't yet already. Half of the income that I earn in this channel goes directly to charity, so every like, every subscriber helps us out a lot. If you want to be a real superstar, become a channel member. That would be fantastic. Okay, let's get started here. So there are a lot of mate in 3s that you might be able to find right off the bat. For example, queen e8 is a nice check, but this isn't mate in 2, instead it's mate in 3 because you just keep throwing pieces in the way, and that would be mate in 3. There are also some cool other ones like check, and then maybe king a5, b4, this kind of thing. That's a pretty cool mate. I like the way that looks, but not mate in 2. So you kind of can sit here and think and say, what is the best way to mate in 2? Maybe it's a quiet move. Maybe there's a way to like sneak the queen in here so that you can mate there. A lot of things like that. But there's always these like annoying moves where they just put pieces in between where you want to go. So that's not going to be mate in 2, right? Because this just doesn't quite work. Here's an example of that. That's a lot of prolonging. Again, prolong mate. It's all very annoying. And this is another way to prolong it, just playing like a computer. So there are a lot of ways to get checkmate, but there's only one way to get it in exactly 1 move. So what other ideas are there? You can play check. Kind of sounds cool. If they take, well, they can't take. So what actually happens? King a3, queen e7, they run away, either here or here, doesn't matter. In this case, actually, it says black is winning, crazy enough. Okay, so you have to be careful, but let's just look at the actual move. So the correct move to get checkmate in 2, maybe you already see it, is a3. Look at this super quiet move. I love it. So what is the threat? Let's just talk about that. So if they take your queen, first of all, you can just play rook b4 is mate. Right, and that, of course, applies no matter how they take your queen. They can take your queen with the rook or with the bishop. Either way, this is mate in 1. So you say, okay, so this is like the principal threat, right? So how do we stop this as black? Well, you could just make a move like knight d5 that not only covers this square, but also pins the rook. That feels like a good way to stop that. Well, it does stop that, but it doesn't stop queen e8 mate. So that's one way to go around that. So you say, okay, well, I think we're onto something here as black because I can move this knight to a bunch of places. And every single time I move it, I'm going to be uncovering this discovered pin, to call it that. So we just talked about this one, right? This is queen e8. What if the knight goes here? Well, don't go to queen e8 this time. Instead, you can play queen c2 mate. Just to show it, if you play here, now they can interpose. There's a difference, right? So if you play this, you can play, if black plays knight f5, you can play queen c2 mate. Okay, so we looked at this square and this square. What if the knight plays to g4? Well, now the rook is no longer looking at this pawn, so this is just an easy mate right here. Queen c4 is mate. What about this one? So we looked at this one, and this one. So what about knight g2? Well, kind of the same idea. Now you're giving up this control of this square through the queen, so queen c6 is mate. Super crazy, right? There are all these different variations. There are some obvious ones. Like I said, this is the main threat. So if you promote to a queen or something, that's not going to do it. Oops. If you promote to a queen like here, that doesn't stop my threat at all. And then it's like, what else is there to really suggest? There's not much. After you make this move, well, you could play this, right? There's a pawn move. Yeah, but by doing that, that was your one out square as the king. So now knight here is mate. Do you see how cool it is to just all these different angles, there's a checkmate somehow. So I think that's all the variations. I hope I didn't go too quickly. This knight moving, does this knight moving do anything? Well, no, because this knight moves and I can just check here. So this knight doesn't do anything. This bishop is really just meant to contribute after the knight moves. This queen can't interact with this square. This rook, like you could try to do this kind of stuff, but that's not going to stop me. I could just move, right? So I think that's pretty much it. There's not much more to talk about. Hopefully I didn't miss any variations. You can't move this pawn because of this pin, so keep that in mind. And you can't move the king itself because all these squares are protected. So that's pretty much it. What's your favorite variation of this, by the way? I think the one I like the most, maybe, I don't know, it's hard. I like them all. I like this one because it's like you do all this work to protect this square and then the knight just jumps in and gives you mate in one. And it's like, oh man. But of course, it is really cool to just make a move and then have your queen get captured and then you just checkmate with a rook. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that is it. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like the video, subscribe. That would be fantastic. That would help out the channel so much. But that is it for now. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.